Song number 218. When he cometh, when he cometh, when he cometh, when he cometh, Song number 245. More about Jesus I would know, more of his grace to others show. More about Jesus I would know, more of his grace to others show, more of his can be repeating the chorus as the choir comes. More about Jesus. More about Jesus.
kuhesabu mabaya, wenda wa Mungu tupendane bila
upendo huvumilia, na mwenye pendo hufadhili upendo, kwani upendo hauna majivuno wala kuhesabu mabaya. Wenda wa Mungu tupendane, bila upendo mimi si kitu. Nitenganisha na Mungu Muumba wangu, upendo wa mwanaye Yesu Kristo kunikomboa. Tangu nilipomjua Yesu, amekuwa kimbilio langu, mimi mtoto wake. Hakuna kitakachonitenganisha na Mungu Muumba wangu, upendo wa mwanaye Yesu Kristo kunikomboa. Tangu nilipomjua Yesu, amekuwa kimbilio langu, mimi mtoto wake. Mbona umesita kati ya njia mbili? Mbona maishani mwako umekosa msimamo? Njia ya mbinguni lango li wazi, Yesu anyesha mkono leo. Wana wa kifalme ungali nafasi. Mbona umesita kati ya njia mbili? Mbona maishani mwako umekosa msimamo? Njia ya mbinguni lango li wazi, Yesu anyesha mkono leo. Wana wa kifalme ungali nafasi. Njia ya mbinguni lango ni wazi, Yesu anyesha kifalme ungali nafasi. Mbona umesita kati ya njia mbili? Mbona maishani mwako umekosa msimamo? Njia ya mbinguni lango li wazi, Yesu anyosha mkono leo. Mbona wa kifalme ungali nafasi.
Church choir, the time is yours.
Jinsi walivyo mtesa Yesu wakamsulubisha. msalabani yote kwa ajili ya dhambi zangu, nawe mijeledi alipigwa mlangoni mwake Yesu, walimchoma mkuki Bwana Yesu, sababu ya dhambi zetu. Yote aliyavumilia Bwana Yesu, akazibeba dhambi zetu tupate wokovu. Uchungu mwingi, mateso hayo hadi kifo chake msalabani, kwani sasa tuko huru. Yote aliyavumilia Bwana Yesu, akazibeba dhambi zetu tupate wokovu. Uchungu mwingi, mateso hayo hadi kifo chake msalabani, kwani sasa tuko huru. Kifo chake Bwana Yesu msalabani yote kwa ajili ya dhambi zangu, nawe mijeledi alipigwa mlangoni mwake Yesu, walimchoma mkuki Bwana Yesu, sababu ya dhambi zetu. Kifo chake Bwana Yesu msalabani yote kwa ajili ya dhambi zangu, nawe mijeledi alipigwa mlangoni mwake Yesu, walimchoma mkuki Bwana Yesu, sababu ya dhambi zetu.
We want to thank God for the song service that we have had. Now we are going to enter into a different session, more especially on our spiritual aspect, especially on health. Now, before we get started, I want to welcome all of you. And as we get started, I want to welcome our sister, and she will pick up from this time. May we pray before she comes. Our dear Heavenly Father, we want to thank you so much for having given us lunch, and you have also given us songs that we have listened to. We have been blessed. And it's now another time we are going to enter into the health program so that we talk more about our bodies and our spiritual welfare. We invite you into our presence before we begin. For this is our prayer in Jesus' name. Now, the person who is going to lead us is our sister Alice Ondieki. I'm Jenny Nyabuti. Sister, welcome, and can you continue?
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. Good afternoon once again. Yes, thank you so much. I want to welcome you to the health session, and I want to welcome those who are seated behind, if they can move up front so that they can be able to participate, because some are very, very far. Thank you. As you have heard, my name is Alice Ondieki, a member of this church, and in charge of the Health Ministries Department. For the sake of this camp meeting, we have prepared lessons which align with the theme of the camp meeting. Who can remind me the theme of the camp meeting? Yes?
The good news about the great controversy.
The good news about the great controversy. The great controversy also has good news in terms of health. When we look at the lessons we learned from the great controversy and what we have heard our speakers say from when we started our camp meeting, is that the great controversy has a lot in all dimensions. But when we look at health, we look at a focus or an advocacy to a healthy lifestyle. And we have done that over and over again. A focus on a healthy lifestyle, which encompasses both physical, mental, and spiritual health. So that is what we are going to look at today. When we look at the book of John, is it 1 John 10 verses 10, what does it say? I have come so that you may have life. And not only life, but you may have life in abundance. So most of the time, if our bodies are not functioning optimally, we may have life, but will we have the abundance that comes with that life? The answer is no. So that is why this week we focus on mostly our physical health when we talk about health. And before I start, this week we are also going to have some activities which include screening of our health so that we can know whether we are healthy or whether we need to do something about our health so that we can continue having life in abundance. So today we are going to look at one condition or one disorder which is very, very common, which is called diabetes mellitus. I believe most of us have heard about it. But we are going to look briefly about diabetes mellitus and what we can do to prevent it and what we can do to prevent complications for those who already have it. So, I don't know. Next slide. I don't know. Just a moment. Okay. So there's something hitch here, but they are trying to look at it. So today we are looking at diabetes mellitus. Most of us know about diabetes. What is diabetes? When we look at diabetes, si tunajua ni ile ugonjwa ya sukari. That is how most people will describe it. Ugonjwa wa sukari. Sukari iko chini ama iko juu? It is high. So when we talk about diabetes, we have a number of conditions which we call diabetes. For example, we have diabetes mellitus, and then we have diabetes insipidus. But this time we are mostly going to look at diabetes mellitus. So in diabetes mellitus, the blood sugar levels are very high or are higher than normal. What happens when the blood sugar levels are high? What is the problem? The problem is that we don't have insulin. we don't have enough insulin, which can make the glucose to go inside the cells. That is why, what is the use of glucose? Glucose is what gives us energy. Most of the time, glucose is what gives us energy. And when we talk about energy and glucose, glucose is the only fuel which the body can use for energy. That is why it is very, very important for it to get into the cells. So, if someone does not have enough insulin so that glucose can go into the cells, then they will feel like they are tired. See, glucose has to get into your cells so that you get that energy. So if it's not entering, the glucose is just around the blood. What happens is someone will feel very, very tired. And that is one of the signs of diabetes. Next. So in our bodies, let's look at what happens normally. What is the normal body functioning in relation to glucose? For example, we have taken our lunch. So you have taken our lunch. Once you take your lunch, those who are moving, please move quiet. Once you have taken your lunch, what happens is that your body starts to digest the food. And then glucose is released into the blood. Okay, blood glucose levels will begin to rise. Body will recognize that the blood glucose levels are high. So your body will bring about insulin. Insulin will assist the glucose to get into your cells so that you can get energy. But in diabetes mellitus, there is no insulin, which will get the glucose into the cells. So what happens is that that glucose will stay around the blood there, and then someone will start getting the signs of diabetes. So that is normally what happens when we want to regulate the blood sugar levels. So insulin is normally gotten from the pancreas. We have cells which we call beta cells. The beta cells produce insulin in a normal person. But when they are destroyed, there is no insulin which will be produced. And that case, you get someone has type 1 diabetes. That means the beta cells are completely destroyed. There is no insulin which is being produced. So I have already said or talked about the functions of insulin, that it will enable glucose to enter the cells. And it's the only fuel that the body can use, among other functions. So I want us to understand what happens. What is the normal before we can look at the abnormals. So what happens in diabetes mellitus? The first thing, I told you that we are focusing on screening. Okay? So we have a condition, first of all, which we call pre-diabetes. Pre-diabetes means that this person will definitely develop diabetes mellitus if something is not done. What is that something which we can do or which we will not do so that someone can get diabetes when they are in pre? Pre means before diabetes. What is that something which we can do? Yes, Esther? Yeah, watch your weight or change your lifestyle, which we are going to look at. So we have this condition, which most people say can be reversed. So when we talk about pre-diabetes, it means that the blood glucose levels are raised, but they don't meet the criteria for you to be able to be declared that you have diabetes mellitus. And this is the point which you normally miss. The moment you are 40 years and above, and you have a risk factor, like members of your family having diabetes, it is very, very important for you to do regular screening. If you do regular screening, and you find that you are pre-diabetic, then something can be done. Change of lifestyle, you can be able to reverse it. So that is pre-diabetes. So you can see the risks of being pre-diabetic are more severe than those who have diabetes and know it. Are we together? If you are pre-diabetic, of course your blood sugar levels are not very raised. Okay? Your risks of complications are very bad because you don't know, your blood glucose levels are raised and you are not doing anything about it. That means that you will start now developing other complications like heart disease, as you can see there. So if you are pre-diabetic, then you will do lifestyle change and you can easily reverse. So still we are in the what happens in diabetes mellitus. So we have different types of diabetes. One of them is pre-diabetes, which we have looked at. Then we have type 1 diabetes. You have heard people say, my diabetes is type 1. Or you have heard people using insulin. So you have seen there are people who have diabetes, others are using insulin, but others will tell you, me, I am taking oral drugs. Okay. Others, wanasema, me, I went to hospital, I was told to just change my diet, do exercise, and go for monitoring. So when we talk about type 1, it means that the beta cells are completely destroyed. So we say the beta cells are the ones which produce insulin. So that means they are completely destroyed. There is no insulin. That is why someone with type 1 diabetes has to depend on insulin. And insulin is only by injections. Are we together? Insulin is by injections. So when we talk about the other type, that is type 2 diabetes, what is there is decreased insulin production. And that insulin which is being produced has decreased action. It is not acting properly. You will see it in people who are obese, people who are are overweight. Because of that overweight, because of those fats, insulin cannot work. That is why most of the time we are told to reduce the weight so that we can enhance the action of insulin. By reducing weight only, you can actually get out of medications and changing your diet. So that is type 2 diabetes. And then we have another type of diabetes, which we call gestational diabetes. So this type normally comes when someone is pregnant, okay? Maybe they were overweight before pregnancy, they had those other issues, they were not taking their lifestyle seriously. So when they get pregnant, they get diabetes with pregnancy. But when they deliver, the diabetes goes away. But then, the problem is, someone who gets diabetes in pregnancy, maybe after some years, they are at risk of developing full diabetes. Even the baby of a diabetic mother will always develop diabetes if lifestyle changes are not taken. So those are the types. I don't know whether you can see that image very well, because what the image there presents the beta cells. If you can see those beta cells up on ndani, those are the beta cells. If you see them, it's like they have changed color, even shape. That means they are completely destroyed and they cannot produce insulin. But the normal ones are very, very blue, as you can see inside there. Okay, for a person who has a healthy pancreas. So that is with type 1 diabetes. Then in type 2 diabetes, it may not be very clear. In type 2 diabetes already I have said that there is insulin production. But that insulin cannot act. because maybe someone is overweight, okay? So insulin cannot work properly. And then gestational diabetes. So what are the signs and symptoms of diabetes? Let's have that discussion, because it's something already in our knowledge. What are the signs and symptoms? Have you ever, for example, seen someone with diabetes, or have you heard about it? Some of us may be having it because it's quite common, especially in people who are 40 years and above for type 2 diabetes, and people who are 30 years and above for type 1 diabetes. What are the signs and symptoms of diabetes? Mtu anasikia aje? Kuna mtu amesema kuchoka. Yes? Yeah? Someone can project. Yes. Maybe short call at frequent intervals. Yes. Anything else? Which you have, you see in diabetes mellitus? Yes, Dr. Jane? Yes, feeling thirsty. Some people will complain that they are very, very angry all the time. They want to eat all the time. Others will want to drink all the time. Yes? Yeah? Someone has to project that voice. Blurred vision, eh? Yes. So those are, most of the symptoms are almost similar for type 1 diabetes and for type 2 diabetes. For example, when we talk, someone is, for example, feeling tired. Why is someone getting tired? Because glucose cannot enter the cells for you to get energy. And you have said glucose is the only energy that the cells can use as fuel. Okay? Number 2, why is someone having like frequent in urination, the way you said? I hope that is a better term. Let me use short call, okay? That is more friendly. It is because the blood sugar levels, the blood has a lot of sugar which is hanging there, okay? There is no insulin to make that glucose enter the cells. So what happens? The body has to find a way of getting rid of that glucose. So someone has to go for short call to get rid of that sugar. Okay, if you test the urine, you will find it as sugar. Okay, because it's a way the body is trying to save you. And then, of course, as someone goes frequently for short calls, the fluids in the body will be depleted. That is why you will find them wanting to drink more. Okay, you want to drink more. You don't have energy, you want to eat more. So those are some of the signs and symptoms, and we have more signs and symptoms. Studies have shown that 1 in 4 people, wakati tuko hivi waine, 1 in 4 people have diabetes and they don't know, because we have not, for example, screened. And that is why I was saying this week on Friday, we are having a screening which is free of charge for diabetes. Do not fear. Jitokeze, upimwe. All information will be kept confidential, okay? Just as per the Data Protection Act. So it is very, very good to screen. It can save us a lot when we do the screening. So I want us to look at this. For example, although we didn't say it, some of the signs and symptoms of diabetes, especially when someone has started getting some complications, is you get numbness. Someone will get numbness in their feet, in their hands. Why? Because diabetes also affects the blood vessels. If you look at this, this is a blood vessel, and then what happens is that there is sluggishness in flow of blood. So what is the use of blood circulation? The blood will take what? Oxygen and nutrients to all parts of the body. But in diabetes, if the blood vessels are affected, then that blood and oxygen may not be flowing properly. So what happens is, like for example, if there is a problem, this is a blood vessel, and there is no good flow, and there is a wound, there, what happens? That wound will need oxygen, it will need nutrients for it to heal. But in diabetes, that one is lacking. So you will find someone has a wound which is not healing. And with time, it becomes big, and all those areas will die out. And that is why you normally see some people will get that limb cut. Okay? So that is what we want to prevent by close monitoring. So how do we manage diabetes mellitus? I just want to be brief because I know we don't have much time. In the management of diabetes mellitus, there is no one thing which works alone. It's a combination of interventions. For example, those who have been diagnosed with diabetes mellitus, what you need to do is to adhere to the medication regimen. And of course, exercise. So you have seen exercise is very important. You have seen exercise is very important. Monitoring, and of course, education and nutrition. So on the management, in type 1 diabetes, we said anyone with type 1 diabetes must use insulin injections. That's what we've said. Why? Because we have said the beta cells are completely destroyed. If they are remaining, whatever insulin is going to be produced, it's not going to make any difference. So anyone with type 1 diabetes, which was previously called as insulin-dependent diabetes mellitus, must use insulin injections. So mtu asikudanganya ati, hapana, yule daktari wangu mimi ananipea zile za kumeza. Kwani hiyo wako hawezi kukupea injections? So that is what we normally say. Tunasema, kwa nini unadunga shindano? Mimi nilienda kwa wangu, ananipea nini? Orals. They are giving me oral drugs. So wachana na huyo, ukuje upewe orals. Ama mtu anakuambia wa mitishamba kwamba, wachana na hiyo wewe kunywa madawa ya kumeza. Let's understand that diabetes is different. If you have type 1, you must get injections because the beta cells are completely destroyed. Type 2, healthy living, exercise is the first treatment. Even if you go to the hospital and the blood sugars are not very high, but you have diabetes, we will try that first. We will try healthy living and exercise. But most of the time, people don't take it seriously. So once it fails, what happens? You move to the next. But we still maintain healthy living, exercise, and you are given some oral drugs, which we call hypoglycemics. But sometimes people also don't take the medications very well, so they come in a crisis. Someone comes when the blood sugar levels are very high because they are not able to adhere to diet, they are not able to exercise. So unajua tuko na watoto, especially sisi wenye tumezeeka. Wanasema, mama sasa umekuwa mgonjwa. Sasa ukae chini tukutunze, si ndio? And then you sit, unaletewa kila kitu, and then we worsen our conditions. Are we together? So wale wenye tuko hapa, maybe wale wadogo, sio ni wadogo hapa, sisi wote ni wale tunaletewa. But tell them that I need to exercise. So nataka ile viatu ya kutembea. I need to do what? A healthy diet. So that when they buy things, you have a plan for your diet. And that will make a difference. Yeah. And then of course when all goes wrong, nothing works, then now you will get insulin. In type 2, they get insulin when all these other things have failed. And then of course we have talked about the importance of exercise, and I want us to see what exercise can do or weight loss. If you have diabetes and you lose about 10 kilos, for example, if someone is obese, imagine you will get a reduction of about 50% of your glucose levels. What does that mean? Some of us who have had people with diabetes mellitus or who have vision know that the normal blood glucose levels is about 5 point something. So if, for example, yours was about 11.5 and you have 50% fall, what does that mean? Itafika ngapi? 5.5. Is 5.5 normal or abnormal? You will maintain normal blood sugar levels with treatment, lakini sasa inamaanisha drugs zako zitarudishwa chini. Okay? They will reduce the medications. Okay? So that you are not so much dependent on them. And of course, there are other benefits, as you can see. On nutrition and diet, of course, what we need to do is, ni chakula gani watu wanakula? Which food do we normally take? People say Coke, at Diet Coke. See, previously we used to know that. Eldabosire, Diet Coke. Is it Diet Coke? Sasa nasema mimi yule wa askari, nipe ile ya Coke. Hizo vitu tuwache tu kabisa. Ugali ya wimbi, we no longer talk about that. What we talk about is 50% total calorie, okay? And then we do what? Do not skip meals. Do not skip meals. Who has seen how Indians live? Vile Wahindi wanakaa. Ukienda duka ya Muhindi saa 7, utawapata? They go for lunch. Lakini wewe fungua tu duka. Uone watu wanakuja. Utasema hata kukula hakuna. Okay? So what does that mean? Let's focus on self-care. Okay? When it's time to eat, especially when you know you have that condition, kindly eat. You can make prior plans. Funga tu duka kidogo. Upoteze customers, lakini usipoteze wewe mwenyewe. Are we together? So let's focus on, that is what is called self-care. Okay? Yeah. And proteins about 20%, and the sources should be low in fat. Of course, we talk about fiber, fats, and alcohol. Okay? Those who take alcohol, I know in the church there are no people who take alcohol, but we have our relatives. Okay? Because if they are affected, we are also affected. So ensure that if they cannot stop taking alcohol, then tell them to eat before they take that alcohol. Because alcohol can significantly reduce blood sugar levels and cause some crisis. And then of course, if for example someone has diabetes and they are on insulin, monitoring is important. They should actually measure their blood glucose levels at least 3 times a day. 3 times a day. Those who are taking medications orally, at least 2 times. No, 2 times a week. That is what they normally do. Or more if they have complications. And people with diabetes mellitus are at a higher risk of getting problems with their vision because of the effect on the vessels. They can also get problems with their kidneys. They can also get problems with their feet. Okay? Tumesema hiyo mambo ya, especially the ulcers. Yeah, so they need to be examined at least every 6 months. Okay? Every 6 months, you get your eyes checked, you get your feet checked, and of course, you get your kidneys checked. So, during this camp meeting, we are focusing on monitoring and prevention, and also prevention of complications. That is why we are talking about screening, which is very, very important. And we said 1 in 4 people have diabetes, but they don't know. But people fear to go and get tested. And we have said, if you have prediabetes, you are at a higher risk of getting complications than a person who knows. Okay? Because the person who knows is already taking a step, is already addressing that issue. So let's get screened on 22nd, free of charge, so that we can know our status. And once we get screened on Friday, then let's continue getting that screenings every other time. So screening is also available in our facilities, most of the time free of charge. Let's take a step to get screened. And as I said, for those who have come late, is that during the screening, which will occur on Friday, then all information will be kept. We are not going to keep records of people who have been screened. Of course, we are going to screen for diabetes and other conditions, but then all information will be kept confidential. The information which we collected will be used by the county hospital, but for us, we'll just keep the numbers. So do not fear like, niende kupima watu wanione, watu watasema nini. You know that thing has killed a lot of people. Let's take a step to get screened. So I want to take, for example, 1 or 2 questions or comments so that we can close, because I believe our time is up. Let's have any questions on diabetes. Remember, we continue this conversation tomorrow with another condition, hypertension, by one of us. And then we continue like that until the end of the camps. Please, any question or clarification? Thank you.
Thank you so much, sister. I wanted to ask a question. Why do we normally tell people not to eat before they are tested? Because I went for a test some time back and I was told it is no food before you are tested. And number 2, I've seen another condition where the sugar level goes low. I used to work with another colleague and they could just faint because the sugar level used to go low. And then we could give him glucose or we give him a sweet and he regains. Maybe you can elaborate on that one so that we understand. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Jane, for those questions. The first question she has asked is about when testing. Why, for example, could you be told that you don't have to eat fast? That happens sometimes, but sometimes you can be tested with after you have eaten. There's no problem. But if they want to get, for example, accurate measures, then that is what we call fasting blood sugar. Sometimes you can prescribe fasting blood sugar levels. It will give an idea of the, for example, if one has diabetes, it will give an idea of where we are in the management. Fasting, someone has not eaten, so you want to get an idea of where we are. But then, if we are testing you when you have eaten, we call that random blood sugar. We want to see how the body is utilizing or whether the drugs are able to act. Okay, so that could be the reason. Maybe they wanted to get your fasting blood sugar so that we know where we are. Or someone who is new, maybe they realize that their blood sugar levels are high. Now they want to know, is it diabetes? We must get the fasting blood sugars at 2 measurements before we can decide that one has diabetes mellitus. Number 2, you asked about some people with diabetes still present with, sometimes wanakuwa na very low blood sugar levels. They faint and we have to give glucose. So to respond to that, I want to say that in diabetes mellitus, people respond differently. Most of the time you could find that there are some effects which actually complicate the management of diabetes. Someone has diabetes mellitus, but then we have a few effects. I don't know whether you'll understand this. Some people will have what we call like dawn phenomenon. Yes, they are diabetic, but when they sleep, I don't know what happens. When they sleep, the blood sugar levels will continue to rise towards morning for no reason, even if you are giving medication. Some will start falling, okay? Like that when they are on medication. It could be a genetic predisposition